Have you ever walked down a hotel hallway late at night and felt like something was wrong? Not the lighting. Not the silence. The building itself. Like the walls were slightly off. Like the space didn't add up the way it should. In 2024, a renovation crew in Boston broke through a wall in the Ashford Hotel and found a room that didn't exist on any blueprint. No room number, no key system, no record of construction, no official evidence it had ever been built. And inside that room, they found something that made the entire crew stop working and call the police. 3 years before the renovation, a man named Nathan Cole checked into the Ashford Hotel. He was 38 years old. A business consultant from Philadelphia. Normal stay. 2 nights. Security cameras caught him walking into the lobby at 6:47 p.m. on a Thursday. He smiled at the front desk receptionist. Took the elevator to the 7th floor. Walked down the hallway toward room 714. That was the last confirmed image of Nathan Cole that exists anywhere. The next morning, housekeeping knocked on his door at checkout time. No answer. They used a master key and went inside. His suitcase was there, packed as if he was planning to leave. His laptop was open on the desk. His wallet was sitting next to the lamp. His phone was on the nightstand. His room key was on the bed. Nathan Cole was gone. The window in room 714 was the kind that only opens 2 inches for ventilation. A grown man cannot fit through a 2-inch gap. The door had been locked from the inside using the manual deadbolt that requires a key from the outside or a hand from the inside. It was locked from the inside. With no one inside, police searched every floor of the hotel, every stairwell, every service corridor, every storage room, the roof, the basement. They interviewed every staff member and every guest currently staying in the building. Nothing. Nathan Cole had walked down a hallway to his room and ceased to exist. His case was filed as a missing persons investigation. It was never closed. It was never solved. 3 years later, the Ashford Hotel closed temporarily for a major structural renovation. The construction crew brought in the original architectural blueprints to map out the work. On the 7th floor, something immediately caught the attention of the lead architect. Between room 714 and room 716, there was a gap. Not a small gap. Not a few inches of insulation and drywall. Nearly 10 feet of space running the full depth of both rooms. Enough space for an entire room, according to every blueprint on file from the original construction to every subsequent renovation permit, filed over decades. That space was listed as a structural support cavity. Essentially, a gap between rooms filled with building materials. Nothing livable. Nothing accessible. Nothing there. The crew agreed it was probably just an architectural quirk. But the lead contractor decided to scan the wall anyway before committing to the renovation plans. The scan showed hollow space behind the drywall. Not filled with concrete or beams or insulation. Hollow. Like a room. They broke through the wall on a Tuesday morning. The drywall came apart in sections. And behind it was a wooden door. Old wood. Dark with age and dust. No handle on the outside. Just a rusted keyhole. The crew stood in front of it for a while without speaking. Then they called the building manager. The building manager called the hotel's ownership group. The ownership group called a structural engineer and a lawyer before anyone called the police. That detail matters. When investigators finally arrived, the door was still locked. A locksmith worked on it for 20 minutes before the old mechanism finally gave way. The door swung inward. The air that came out was cold. Not the cold of an air-conditioned space. The cold of a room that has been completely sealed for a very long time. They stepped inside. The room was small. A bed frame with a mattress that had gone gray with age. A wooden chair in the corner. An old lamp on a bedside table. A clock on the wall. Stopped at 2:41 a.m. And on the bedside table next to the lamp, a hotel room key, brass. The kind the Ashford used before they switched to keycards in the late 90s. With a tag attached. Room 715. A room number that appeared on no floor plan. No guest record. No hotel directory. Room 715 had never officially existed. And yet here was its key. In a room that had never officially existed. Investigators moved to the small wooden desk against the far wall. On it was a hotel guest registration card. The paper was yellowed and slightly warped from the sealed air of the room. The handwriting on the signature line was clear. Nathan Cole. Nobody spoke for almost a full minute. A forensics team was called immediately. They processed the room over the following 2 days. What they found in the desk drawer stopped the investigation in its tracks. A small handheld voice recorder. The kind journalists and business people used in the early 2000s. The battery was completely dead. Technicians took it to a forensic audio lab and spent 3 days recovering whatever data remained on the device. They recovered one audio file, 47 seconds long. The voice was identified by Nathan Cole's family as his. The recording began calmly, almost like a note to himself. I think I found a room that isn't supposed to be here. Then a pause. Then his breathing changed. I've walked down this hallway 4 times. Every time I end up back here. A long silence. The sound of movement. A chair scraping. Then very quietly. If someone finds this, don't open the other door. The recording ended. Investigators looked up from the playback device and looked at the wall behind the bed. There was another door, smaller than the entrance. Almost completely hidden behind old wallpaper that had peeled and bubbled over the years but never fully fallen away. Someone had papered over it deliberately. They carefully removed the wallpaper around the frame. The door was small, maybe 5 feet tall. Old wood like the first door but darker. No handle at all on this side. Just old painted wood flush against the wall. They brought in equipment to scan behind it before opening it. The scan showed concrete. Solid concrete directly behind the door. The structural engineer on site confirmed there was no space beyond it. Just the building's foundation wall. A dead end. They opened it anyway. What they found was exactly what the scan showed. A concrete wall approximately 4 inches behind the door. Nowhere to go. Nothing to see. A door that opened into solid concrete. And yet one member of the construction crew, who was present when the door was first opened, filed a written statement 2 days later that the investigation team initially dismissed. He stated that in the half-second before the investigators stepped forward and blocked his sightline, he had seen a hallway. Not concrete. A hallway. Dark, and extending further than the wall should have allowed. And then, just the concrete dot, like something had closed. Or like he had imagined it. His statement was noted and filed. It was not included in the official report. When news of the hidden room became public, the story spread across the internet within hours. Former guests of the Ashford Hotel began coming forward with things they had never mentioned because they hadn't seemed worth mentioning at the time. A woman who had stayed on the 7th floor in 2019 remembered hearing slow footsteps from behind the wall of her room in the middle of the night. She had assumed it was an adjacent guest. Her room had been 716. The room directly next to the space that turned out not to be a structural cavity. A man who had stayed at the hotel multiple times over several years said the 7th floor hallway had always seemed slightly longer at night than it did during the day. He had assumed it was a trick of the lighting. He had never mentioned it to anyone. Then came the most unsettling submission of all. A guest who had stayed at the Ashford in 2018 contacted the investigation team directly. He had a hotel receipt. A printed confirmation from the Ashford Hotel showing his name, his check-in date, and his room number. Room 715. The hotel had no record of this booking. The room number did not exist in their system. But the receipt was real. The hotel's own logo. The correct address. The correct formatting. A receipt for a room that the hotel had no record of ever renting out. To anyone. Ever. The Ashford Hotel reopened 8 months after the renovation was completed. The space between rooms 714 and 716 was filled with concrete during construction. The hidden room no longer exists. The small door was sealed behind the new wall. The voice recorder is in evidence storage. The room key sits in a box in the lead detective's office. Nathan Cole has never been found. No body. No activity on any of his financial accounts since the night he checked in. No contact with family or friends. No sighting anywhere in the world. Just a registration card in a room that didn't exist. And 47 seconds of audio ending with a warning nobody heard in time. Don't open the other door. So here is the question that has no comfortable answer. Did Nathan Cole find something in that hotel that night that the building wasn't supposed to contain? And whatever was behind that second door when he opened it, is it still there? Waiting behind a wall of concrete in a renovated hotel where guests sleep every night. On the 7th floor, between rooms 714 and 716. Drop your theory below. Follow the final clue for more stories about the places and the spaces that exist just outside the edge of what we can explain.